Hey everybody, this is Sherry with Butter Not Hollow Crafts, hashtag old lady with tools. Um, I'm on Royce's channel again and a couple other places. I thought I'd share another fun project. I had a request for some coasters, and I know you guys have seen coasters made before, but we are going to do coasters with some two-step crackle, show you how to age them a little bit, and then I'm going to resin them to give them a little more protection. So I'm going to point the camera down, and then we'll get started. So hang on here. That I'm using, and what I'm using is this is some 1/4 inch MDF, and actually guys, these are 4 and 1/4 by 4 and 1/4. And hey Sonny, my friend, and these are pieces left over. I have a laser cutter, and these are actually a piece that I had to cut away, so I'm always saving these strange pieces, and they make great coasters. So how I make my coasters, I'm going to use these, and then I have these little foam uh sticky they're sticky pieces of foam. They're 4 by 4, so they're perfect for these. And so I put them on these 3, but I just thought I would turn this over, and they are very, very sticky, so they work great on coasters. And then they also protect your tabletop or your surface wherever you're using these. So I just lay them down like that and give them a good rub, and they are good to go. And so now I did on this MDF, I just gave these a couple coats of my farmhouse cotton white paint because I wanted a white background. So we'll get these decoupage art, but to decoupage these, another nice thing is about this size of a, if you want to call it a scrap piece of wood or whatever, is I just went through my scrap pieces of decoupage paper, which if you've watched me, I've always say save your scraps. And I just pulled out a couple pieces that I thought would work. And they're not all 4 exactly alike, but my coasters do not have to be matchy-matchy. And when we get done with the 2-step aging and all that, you know, I think they'll be fine. And you'll have 2 and 2, so I think they'll be fine. So let's decoupage first. Hi, Doris from North Carolina. Thank you so much for joining. And my decoupage me, Tina. So we're going to get these all decoupaged. Whoop, hang on here. I'm getting ahead of myself. This piece is a big scrap, so I'm going to lay this out kind of on my, and I'll just hold it here to put my anchor row down. And I am a lefty, but I can do some things with my right hand, so I can get this first row laid down pretty good with my right hand. And I'm going to lay that anchor row down like that. And then let me get some saran wrap, guys, because I didn't get that out. I love this paper too, Sonny. If I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's the grunge floral, isn't it? Is that what we call it? Well, that didn't stick down at all. I need more medium. Oh, wrong side. I think it is the grunge floral, isn't it? Hey, Lauren, how you doing, sweetie? So my paper's stuck down good. So let's get this laid down like that. And then if you guys watched Royce's live last night, she gave a wonderful tip on wetting your paper, you know, lightly misting your paper like this, because that automatically stretches your paper and you will have less wrinkles. And that is a tip that I often forget to share. So I'm going to move this way now because, like I said, I am left-handed. Yes, Sonny. I think one is called, God, one's grunge floral. I know. I think this is grunge floral. And the other one, to be honest with you, Sonny, you're right. The name escapes me right now, but I love them both too. So let's lay this down. And like I said, because I wet my paper, there is not any wrinkles. And now I'm going to go ahead and put my sealer on top of this right away, because it does make your paper a little more translucent. And that is what I want to do these for these coasters. So let's get that laid down like that, and then we'll get the other ones done. And I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do all 4 of these. But it should move fairly quickly. Thanks, Rita. How are you doing, Rita? It was great seeing you and Patty at my barn show. So I'm just going to decide where I want this. Lay this medium down. And the nice thing about a coaster is, you know, if your design is not exactly perfect where you want it, it's a coaster, guys. It is not going to matter a whole lot. Now you can use your saran wrap to get the wrinkles out of this and everything. Well, hey, my friend Lexi girl, how you doing? I'm hanging in over here in Iowa. But that misting this paper, and because this paper is a thicker decoupage paper, I think it's an 18 pound if I remember right. You know, even though you mist it with water, as long as you don't manhandle it, even though Royce has been accused of that, it really is very workable. So let's smooth this out like that. And again, I'm just going to apply my sealer on top. Normally, I would let this dry before I sealed it, but because of what we're going to do with it, this step is not going to hurt a thing. Well, thanks, Lauren. I'm glad you like the coasters. I do too. These coasters too. These are a set for somebody else, but these make great like housewarming gifts. Oh, thanks, Rita. You know, they make great housewarming gifts. If you need a quick gift to take to somebody's house, if you've invited to a party or whatever. And so I do like to have some of these on hand, because you grab a set, you know, I'll tie these up with either some cute jute or some homespun, and voila, you got a super cute gift that was handmade. And I love to get handmade gifts, and give it to your hostess and you'll be good to go. And I guess I didn't introduce myself. I am Sherry, owner operator of Butternut Hollow here in Oxford Junction, Iowa. If you want to tell me where you're from, that'd be great. If you're catching this on replay, I appreciate it. And be sure and comment that you caught it on replay and where you're from. If you like my projects, you can follow me on Butternut Hollow on Facebook. And I'm also have a website, hollowcrafts.com, where most of my products that I use in my demonstrations can be found there. Now see, this isn't exactly even, and my OCD is not going to allow that. So I got to move it over, you guys. I wasn't paying attention. But that is one of the nice things about this paper, that you can kind of manipulate it somewhat. There. Yep. And that worked out just fine. I'll get a top coat put on this real quick. And because I'm putting resin on this, I don't know. I don't think I would need this top coat, but I want this on here to do my crackle, to do that two-step crackle. So that is why I'm going ahead and sealing it. And it's just a light coat, so not a big deal. So we'll slide that out of the way, and we'll do this last one. And I'll try and make sure it's where I want it this time. Kind of centered on my hunk of wood here. But misting your paper, it really pretty much gives you a wrinkle-free, if the wrinkles bother you, decoupage. The wrinkles do not bother me too much. Lexi, I never missed the paper to get it flattened. You clever gal. Actually, Lexi, I'd love to take credit for that, but I can't. Royce taught me that. You know, the decoupage queen. She actually taught me how to do that. And it really does work. You know what, guys? I don't know why that's going off. Let me shut my phone off. I actually have notifications shut off, and I have my volume off. So somebody please tell me why my phone is still going off. I have a love-hate relationship with this phone, I'm just saying. You know, in business, you can't afford to be without them, but oh my gosh. There's times I literally want to throw it away. So there is them, and I'll get this top coated. And then we're going to go back, and if we I might have to use my little dryer, but it's not loud, to get this coat dried so we can get these sanded. And then we get to do the next fun part. Because I can't say this isn't fun, because I think decoupage is really fun. I love to decoupage. And honestly, I never thought I would. But it's kind of addicting. So now I'm going to set this off to the side there. And let's look at these papers. And we're going to move them all in. And let me find my dryer. I'm just going to give these a quick dry, guys, so I can get them sanded. And then we can do the two-step crackle. To age these a little bit. And Lexi, if you're still watching, girl, you make the most amazing food dishes. I mean, even your food you make is art. It's like, oh my God. I'm a very picky eater, but some of that food you make, it's pretty enough where I think I might almost try it. Okay. If I have any edges that aren't stuck down, we will get them once I get these sanded off. So let's get this sanded off here. This is just a little sanding block. It's about 220. I like these little blocks, and all I do is I buy the regular sanding blocks, and I just cut them down to size on my bandsaw. So, because I don't know if they make little sanding blocks like this, but you can buy the regular sanding blocks. Is that a dance two-step crackle? It could be, couldn't it, Rita? If you'd like me to come up one and video it, I could maybe try, honey. Sherry Benhart doing the two-step crackle. Yeah, see, my corner here is not quite down, but I think we can get it sanded and then we'll re-stick it. There we go. Sonny. I met Sonny at Royce's retreat. Sonny kind of got stuck sitting by me. Well, I don't even know if she got stuck. I think I chose to sit next to her. And I'm sure there was a couple times where she probably wondered who the heck is sitting next to her. But once we got to know each other, we had a really good time. At least I did. It was a lot of fun. We laughed a lot, splattered paint on each other. What do you mean you can't do the regular two-step, Sonny? Oh, you're talking about the real dance, the two-step? Sonny, it's two steps. I'm not a good dancer either. I freestyle a lot, as I call it. I took Zumba for several years ago. And let me tell you, if you've ever taken Zumba, some of them moves, I freestyled a lot. It got to the point to where the Zumba instructor, when the newbies would come in and say, if you cannot do this step, just watch Sherry. She freesteps. She freestyles. You can follow her. But that was okay because I had fun. And I know there's some white here. That is not going to bother me one bit because of the crackle we're going to put on there. It will be fine. Sorry about this, guys. I know this isn't fun to watch, but we're almost through this step. I think these little bingo make really cute coasters. If you had somebody that loves bingo, wouldn't this be cute? You know how the bingo people, they have their little bag where they bring their little Lucky Charms and have all that stuff sitting in front of them, you know, the really serious bingo players. Oops, see, I'm tearing this. They could have a coaster and bring that with them. Wouldn't that be cute? They'd be the envy of all their other bingo ladies, I'm sure. We're not going to worry about that because we're going to cover that up. And now I want to check all my edges. These are good. I feel like there's something stuck here. Whoops. I got a wrinkle in there, you guys. I got to get that out of there. Unless I can smooth it out this way. Yep, it just didn't get stuck down. Okay. This one here. Make sure everything is stuck down. There's a wrinkle. Hi, Jessie. How you doing, sweetie? Okay, so now these are dry enough to where I am going to do the crackle. And I am using the classic two-step crackle from Pentart. And step one, of course, is what you want to do first. And how you apply this step is going to determine your cracks. If you were watching last week, you know how I applied that crackle medium, the thickness and the size of your brush and strokes and all that is what determined the size of your cracks. This is the same thing with this. So I'm going to take step one and we're going to put a layer of it down on all this. Now this goes on milky, but it dries clear. And so I'm just going to brush that on there. And I'm keeping with this. I got this small brush because I want my cracks to be small on these because I don't want to cover up a whole lot of my design. So that is why I'm using a smaller brush, because I want fine line cracks, not big cracks. So we'll just get this brushed on there. These coasters would also be cool, like on these flowers here. If you were an artist like Lexi, I could see you watercoloring them in, using some watercolor or regular color. But I think if you wanted to watercolor on these, you'd have to either, I don't know if clear gesso would work because I'm not a watercolor artist, or if you'd have to use watercolor ground or something. Maybe Lexi can chime in if she's on here. My husband and I want a bar. Oh my God, Sonny. That is scary. Yes. But is there any watercolor artists on here? If you wanted to paint over this paper, would you use watercolor ground or would clear gesso work? Or what would you have to do to be able to like paint in these flowers before you applied this two-step crackle? Chime in if you know the answer to that, because I do not. I would like to learn how to watercolor because I've seen some beautiful things made with watercolor. But I don't see depth, if that makes sense. When I paint, I don't see depth. That's why I think I went to wood crafts, because I can add depth by adding a layer of wood or a piece, but I don't see it with my eyes. And that is like a problem if you want to be an artist. So, okay. I'm going to clean off the top of this, number one. And then we're going to hit this with the dryer because this layer has to be dry in order to do step number two. And you can see there's a few wrinkles in that paper right there. I think that was the first one I did and I didn't mist it enough. But because we're going to put this two-step crackle on here and we want it to look aged, it's not going to hurt a thing. In this two-step crackle, how it works is this first coat, like I said, it determines your cracks. And this is the classic crackle. So they're going to be tiny fine line cracks anyway. But this layer here, even when it's dry, because it's clear, if you touch it with your hand, it's still going to be tacky. Because it's designed to, when you put the step 2 on top of it, you want that tacky, because that's where you can add, like I'm going to add dark and decrepit dust, but that's where you can add like pigment powders, any, gold dust, anything colored. That layer is going to stay tacky so that it will fix it up, and you can push it down in the cracks, and yeah, it makes it look cool. So I'm going to try and get this layer dry. This layer does have to be dry it does have to be dry, even though it's going to be tacky, it's still dry, before I can put that top coat on there, second coat on there. But even though these are not the same design, I think they look cute together. I think they would make a nice coaster set. I think these ones are dry. It's got one spot right in there. Thanks, Sonny. That does not want to dry. Starting to dry now. We'll set that off there. We'll do that one last. So now here comes the 2-step. And the 2-step, actually, you apply just like the first one. You just brush it over the top again. So that's what I'm going to do. Just going to brush a quick coat on that on there. I don't overwork this second coat because it's kind of like any other. This is the coat that's letting it do its magic. So I just kind of make sure I got a good coat down. You can brush in any direction you want, or I do anyway. Hi, Tammy. How you doing? How's your cute little doggy doing? My little doggy's running around up here right now. I got 2 little ones, but the one is usually not too far from me. There's that. I don't like that this right there is still cloudy. So I'm going to hit it real quick. Although I don't know that it would make a huge difference by the time we add the our distress dust in there. So I just want to make sure I got a good coat of this on there. Okay, so there's that. And now we need to dry that up. She is growing fast. And I'm going to dry these, and you'll see once I dry these, it's going to look like nothing. You're not even going to see the cracks until I add this dark and decrepit dust to it. And that's when you'll see how well it's going to crack and all that. So it's kind of cool. And it's all very random. See, and this is shiny, but you can kind of feel if it's dry, and it does. Everything appears to be dry, so I think we're good to go. And now comes the fun part. And for this part, I'm going to use, let me get my up here. I use a paper plate because I save my dust. And I put my block on there. You can see I've used it before. Let me, just so this doesn't stick to the back of my coaster here. And then I just take, this is from DIY too, and it's dark and decrepit dust, and it's a powder. And I'm just going to sprinkle it on there. And then I just take my brush and I work it all the way around. And then once I take this dust off of here, you'll see all the cool little cracks. I just make sure it's worked in there really good. And then I'm going to brush it off, knock it off, and then I will show you. Can you see the little cracks in there? And then once you top coat or seal this, it even gets better. So we'll just push that off in there and do the other one. A little more. There we go. And it's just a really fine line cracks. That to me just kind of makes it look a little aged, I guess. I don't know. Can you see the cracks? I never know where my camera's at. That paper was a little darker than this, but I can see them here. I don't know if you guys can see them, but hopefully. And like I said, once I seal these and then you put that resin on there, it makes it even pop even more. Oh, and this one you can really see it, I think. Can you see them cracks? And one more. A little more. There we go. We'll knock that off of there. And if you notice where there was white, you know, where I like on my paper, I like this dust because it covers it up too. And then there's the other one. So let's get this mess stuff out of our way like this. I don't know about you guys, but I got to put a lid on everything or I'll have a mess. And now this dark and decrepit dust, if I just took my hand, some of it would wipe off. I don't want it to do that. So what I do very first off the bat is I'm going to put these together like this. And I take a mixture of just a clear top coat 50-50. Hi, Colleen. 50-50 water and 50-50 clear top coat. And then I just lightly, if this is going to work, I just lightly spray them. I don't want to overspray it because that like seals that dust in there so that when I go to put my resin on here, it doesn't brush it all off. And then we'll dry these one more time. And you can see as I'm drying it, well, maybe you can't, but like some of the cracks are getting bigger, which I don't mind at all. And I don't mind that you can see some of the brush strokes. I like the different textures that this is added to it. You just want to make sure this part is dry. And it wasn't. See, I got some on my hand, but it didn't hurt anything. But they're getting there. Okay. So there is that. I'll be right back. I got to get something to put my coasters on. I'm going to use these cups to lay the coasters like I want them up off the table so that I can keep the edges clean. So I'm just going to set these coasters up on these cups like this. Just going to turn them upside down like that and get them up off my table. And then I'm going to mix my resin. Now it's not going to take a whole lot, believe it or not. But this resin I am using, it is called Envirotex Light. And it's a high gloss pour-on resin. I like it because it is waterproof and heat resistant. So you can also like set a hot cup of coffee on here too, and you don't have to worry. But it is like any other resin. It's a 2-part resin. So you just got to make sure that you get, part 1 and part 2 exactly alike. And I just have these little cups here that I'm going to eye and hope that that I'm on the money with it. If you're not, this resin here is pretty finicky and will not completely harden. That's the only, and this resin also takes, I let mine dry overnight. I think you could probably touch it like within 6 hours, but I got to get down here and eye my cups here, guys. That looks good. You can probably touch it like in 6 hours. I let mine set up overnight just to be safe. And then I'm going to pour these into my containers. I can get back in camera here. I see I'm out of camera. Hang on here. Maybe I can slide these out of the way for a little bit. So I got my 2 cups, little cups mixed here, or measured out here. And this does dry, even though this one is amber colored, it will dry crystal clear. This resin here is not the kind of resin, I'm going to get some gloves on, guys, that you want to use in your molds. It's not a casting resin. You do not want to use it in your molds. I think it would probably ruin them. Get my gloves on. And now this step, you've got to stir for like 2 minutes. The most important part of this resin is the stirring. So you want to stir this for a full 2 minutes. It's got to be mixed up, and there's going to be a lot of bubbles that happen with this, more than like the casting resin. This gets a lot of bubbles in it. But don't fret, they do dissolve. So we've got 2 minutes, guys. What do we want to talk about? Ask me anything. What have we been up to? Since it's halfway through June already, which I cannot believe. Am I the only one, or does everybody feel like summer is like filling up, our days, and our schedule in the summer is filling up really quick? It's like, wow. I cannot believe it. How fast it's going already. Lauren, if you're still on there, did you get any rain yet? Hi, Edith. Hey, Cindy. Just popped on. I'm making some, Edith, I'm making some coasters that I'm going to resin, and they're going to be waterproof and heat resistant. So, yes, Tammy, I hear what you mean. It's like, I look at my week and I'm like, oh, I have this day that maybe I can play catch up, like on my housekeeping or whatever, and then something happens, and yeah. Thanks, Cindy. I think these will be really cute. And you didn't see it, Cindy or Edith, but I got a piece of foam that I put on or a cork that I put on the back of these to protect your table surface. Okay, so that's been 2 minutes, and now you have to pour this into another container. This is one of those resins you pour back and forth, but fortunately, you only have to pour it one time into another container. And then get a different stir stick. Why, I don't know. But you can see all those bubbles? Don't worry, they don't stay in there. And then we just give this another stir like this for a minute. And I really do like this resin is to use like for coasters, or like if you were gonna, you could decoupage your paint the inside of a tray that you want to use. No, Cindy, these pieces of wood are 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. They're actually from my laser. They were like a piece of a cutout on my laser for another job I had to do. And so I saved them because I thought they're 1/4 inch MDF, and I thought they would make a nice project. And so I saved them and decided somebody wanted some coasters and thought these would make a nice size coaster. Because, like, I don't know about you guys, but the cup of coffee I drink out in the morning, it's a big cup. So these would work nicely. Yes, Edith. This resin, for some reason, is the only one that I've ever used that I have to pour into another container. And as far as the bubbles, this resin it bubbles bad in here, but once I pour it out, if I wait about 15 minutes, I can hit it even with my little heat gun or craft dryer, and they dissipate real quick. The bubbles are not bad. They're bad here when you're looking at it, but they're really not bad on the finished product. When the first time I used this and I saw all these bubbles, I thought it was going to be a nightmare, but really it wasn't. Okay, so now let's move some of this out of our way. And what I do is I just pour this on here like this. And it doesn't have to be a lot. And I kind of bring it over to the sides. And I don't care that it runs off the edge, because I want a nice even coat of resin on here. And like, this is kind of self-leveling, but it's only going to be self-leveling if the surface you're on is level, of course. And so I just kind of go back and forth to make sure I got a nice even layer. Make sure I've gone all the way out to my edges. And I let it set. So we're going to slide that out of the way, and we'll do this one. And I did do one of these ahead of time so I could show you. And this will give it a high gloss finish, but for coasters, I'm okay with that because I know it's heat resistant and waterproof. And so, you could use this with a hot cup of coffee or a hot cup of tea. Tammy, you have never resined? Not even in the molds? Really? And we'll set that one over there. And I don't know if you can see it, but a lot of those bubbles that were appearing when I was stirring are already disappearing. So, I'm fine with that. That's why I didn't get excited. The first time, like I said, the first time I used this resin, I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to take me forever to get all those bubbles out of there. But like Edith said, I know people use blow torches and all that. I don't usually use a blowtorch. I use a dryer. For some reason, I have all those tools, and I've never used my blowtorch to do this. But I know a lot of people do, and it works absolutely wonderful. Yes, Edith. I love it in my molds too, depending on, excuse me, what I'm going to use the molds for. I do love the air dry clay if I want my project to look aged and cracked. I want the cracks. But like if I'm making something that's going to go outside, or I really want it to withstand abuse, or like I've taken the molds and used some of them for drawer handles or drawer pulls, I use the resin. So there we go. There is our coasters. And now I will let all these set like this overnight. And I will periodically, for about the first hour or two, check my edges. I did wipe them off as I went because I don't want any runs or drips. So I'm just going to double check them all right now. And then I will show you the piece that I did. And it's about 4 hours old. And it is still tacky. So let me take these gloves off. But let me see. It's right here. And it is still a little tacky, but it is set up to where I can, my resin's not moving anymore. But this is what it looks like when it's done. And I think it looks pretty cool. I think these will make some really nice coasters when they're all set up and done. How is your new shed coming, Tammy? I think you should give the resin a try, dear. So let me bring you guys back up. Thank you, Edith. Thanks, Cindy. So that is my little project for tonight. Was doing some making coasters out of scrap wood that I had from my laser and scrap pieces of paper I saved from my decoupage paper. Thanks, Lauren. And then just aging them a little bit with two-step crackle. As you can see, it does not take long. And now I'm sealing them with this resin, and they will last forever. So I'll try and get a good picture posted when they get dry, and share it with you. Last week I did not share a picture of that block that I made you guys because I could not get a decent picture of that block to show the cracks in the light. You can see it in person, but trying to capture it on camera, it was almost literally impossible. So I did not share that with you. So I apologize. I will keep trying, and if I ever do get a good one, I will let you guys know. But I want to thank you guys for joining me. Again, you can follow me on Facebook here. It's Blair Not Hollow. I have a website, hollowcrafts.com. The papers I used tonight are by the glorious Royce's decoupage papers that I absolutely love. Only papers that I sell, and I do sell all of them. If you need some of them, you can go to her website and you find a retailer closest to you. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you. If you don't have a retailer close, I'd love to help you, but I think you would, you'll be fine. I'm going to check for some questions and then I'm going to say bye. Cindy, I do not sell the clear resin. You can get that on Amazon. I am in the process of trying to set up an account with Illuminite. And they sell the casting resin and the other resin. But that they're very slow moving, so we'll see what happens there. Thank you so much for joining me, Doris. I really appreciate your kind comments. And good to see you, Tammy. And I'm going to let everybody go. You guys have a great night, and I will see you all next week, Monday at 6. Thanks a lot. Bye.